Vyasa Media Network.
अब सपना छैन टाढा नजिक आउँदैछ भविष्य खोज्ने मनले क्रेटाई भी पाउँदैछ साथ विश्वासिलो यात्रा आरामदायक यही हो हाम्रो रोजाइ यही छ साह्रै लायक क्रेटा इभी
Hyundai Creta Electric, undisputed, ultimate, now electric.
I'm very, very excited today for this episode. So before I do the introductions of my esteemed guests, I want to talk a little bit about why I'm excited about this episode. Is because we'll be talking a lot about digital marketing and digital branding, which is something that is very close to my heart. I've been pursuing it for so many years. But I think similar to what I had done with the last episode where I had created this theme around Beyond Borders, for today I want to explore the theme around how digital marketing is directly connected to how communities feel connected to certain brands and how it shapes their identity. And more so in the context of Nepal, right? What does that mean? So for that, I couldn't have had better guests today joining me. So in terms of introduction, first, Shreyas, Krishna, Shrestha, welcome so much to Vyasa on Air with Ruchi. You are the CEO of Tootle and you are an avid marketer at heart. So we'll be talking a lot about your experiences and background today. And my other guest joining us all the way from Delhi is Anuj Tanwar, who is the author of Digital Payback. You are a guest professor, guest lecturer at Delhi Technological University, and you are also engaged as a manager at one of the big fours, which we shall not name. Very much excited to explore your respective journeys into marketing, but to sort of set the stage in context of the topic we are exploring today, right? So generally, my theory has always been that when we are growing up, we sort of find connections with different things, whether it's the food that we are eating, whether it's the memories we are living, whether it's in the boarding schools we have made friends with. And it all is forming sort of a story in our heads, and we connect that with our identity. In the process, what we don't realize is the brands we are consuming. And that has grown so much today, right? Because of the digital access. We are consuming brands not just locally, but also the brands globally. And in all of this, somehow I feel maybe now is the imperative for local brands, corporate brands, as well as individuals to sort of invest in their personal branding as well as digital marketing. So with that context, I want to first talk to Shreyas, to you about how do you feel when you are seeing firsthand the story or a narrative of a country or a community being dictated by because of lack of marketing? Has that happened and does that frustrate you? Let's start from there.
I wouldn't say that there's a lack of marketing or even lack of branding in Nepal. I think that different brands do it in different ways. Smaller brands like they have a different way of doing it. They have different ways of connecting with their customers or the community itself, right? Bigger brands have their own ways of doing it. Mm-hmm. I don't think that there is a lack of that happening, but there's always room for more opportunities, and there's always more room for doing it in a different way, connecting more in a deeper level, or connecting with different types of communities, because there's not just one community in one city. There's multiple communities, right? Mm-hmm. So there are different ways of doing it, and maybe that's something that brands can explore and do it in different ways, right? Mm-hmm. We live in this generation where there are 3 or 4 different generations that have different ways of thinking, different ways of taking in information, right? And if you're just putting out one message to everyone at all times, I don't think that really works for everyone, right? Has to be connecting with the younger adults. Maybe they needed to be said in a different way. The same slogan, I think, has to be changed for different types of communities, with different types of people, with different age groups, right? So I think that's where, like, we were taught in school, and we were taught with it's like a hard-coded thing when we're taught marketing and advertising, that you need to have a brand name, you need to have like one slogan that everybody remembers, right? But if that slogan is connected with one group of people but not with a different group of people, then that doesn't make sense. So a slogan is not just really always going to be a part of your brand. It has to be diversified, and it has to be in different ways.
And it has to evolve with the times as well, right?
Of course.
In terms of how you are engaging, because
Yes.
we're no longer limited to certain avenues. The channels
Exactly.
evolved, as you said, is there's the evolution. There's also in terms of how we connect with the different medium today, right? So there's the digital media, there's the print media, there's actual in-person interactions, and people are craving that as well with the brands, right? They want the authentic connections with the brands, and in many cases also with the individual influencers who are representing those brands. Bringing that to the context of a much larger country like India, which has much more diverse audiences, how do we ensure that brands are creating that love on behalf of the customers? How do we ensure that customer loyalty when it's such a does the scale of a community matter?
So it will be like 50-50, you can say. Yeah, there will be a customer loyalty also, and there will be a switching from one brand to another brand. So when the population is huge, and the brands generally take, in these scenarios, take the hyper personalization approach. Okay, so it will be like the products and the services or the communication which they are building to their customers or their prospective clients. It's too much hyper personalized so that they can build a relation directly. So if I'm a digital marketer, they know my interest. So they can approach me like in the same way. So if you are from a different field, they will approach you in a different way. So if I'm a farmer, so they approach me in a different way. So they want to build some interest and relation first, and then of course you can say, of course, loyalty is there. If the brand is doing some in India, of course there is a CSR also play a major role. Okay, so like if we take an example of Tata, so Tata has an image in you can say in India that's the most donation, or you can say the most caring for the Indian peoples. So it will be like any people in India does not hesitate or even think about if they are buying a product from the Tata. Okay, so that's the mindset they have developed in our mindset. Okay, so same with like so it's different from brand to brand. If we talk about luxury brand, so of course there will be a loyalty also for them also. But if the price was between like a competitive market, too much brands, then there must be a shift. It's totally dependent upon the benefits what customers are getting.
Yeah, so it seems like I think what I'm gathering from both of you is, first there is the personal connection that needs to be built, and then it grows into sort of a community. A community doesn't happen without that personal, individualized connection, which brings me back to Shreyas, from your connection to marketing, right? You have lived in this industry for so long before you have applied now these skills and all of your learnings into Tootle and what you're bringing in terms of the market. What has your experience been like, and what has been, from your personal perspective, the evolution? How rapidly or how dramatically have things changed in the marketing landscape?
That's very interesting because I started my career around 2013, where the job description at that point of time, or the job title, would be digital marketing executive or digital marketing specialist, and that was it, right? That was what it was. And I would, or anyone in that job would need to do everything, right? So from SEOs to ads to creating designs to content to everything, right? But throughout the years, what we've seen also, I think, and Anuj can also say the same thing, is that now it's the digital marketing is not just a job title. It's a team. It's a department by itself, right? Where there's SEO experts or performance marketing expert, or just a designer by itself, right? So that makes it much better for today's youths and also for everyone in general, that you can specify into certain things, right? So you can specify just in design and have a career there, or you can just have it in social media ads manager. Like that could be a job title by itself, because that's a huge role to play, right? But when we were starting with this, it was all in one, and we would also get confused, right? Because we would be doing this and we'd be doing another thing, and we'd have to learn this because that's something new. I took a course outside of just this when I was in a job in just Google Analytics and Google AdWords, right? So because that was something that was not taught to me, and I had to learn this because that was in my job description. So that is how I see it being evolved through the years in terms of how digital marketing has been. I think a lot of people have now started to also realize that digital marketing is where it's not an expense, but also an investment for the future. But a lot of people might not know that yet, but that's something that everyone should be investing into as well. Not just digital, but also marketing as general.
So, because most often when we talk about marketing, people directly associate it with demand generation and creating those leads, right? And it's very much that. But like you said, the roles have evolved. The definition of the department itself has evolved. And simultaneously, I think the technology has become much more sophisticated as well, right? So now there is AI, there's automation in terms of the data analysis. It doesn't have to be that much of a struggle, right? But that also talks to how resourceful you need to be, how much... For example, are you upskilling yourself in this field, right? You as a professor, you are meeting with students who are probably keeping you on your toes as well in terms of how fast you are upskilling yourself, and simultaneously they are as well. How do you make sure that the context that you're giving is current? I guess it comes from the professional side of your your practice, but otherwise also, how do you connect it with the tools and technologies and make sure that people are understanding the value, not just as a it's not just the price tag, but the long-term ROI of it?
So answer to this is basically so as Shreyas already explained, that there are a lot of vertical in the digital marketing. So if we pick one of the vertical is like search engine optimization, if we talk about SEO. So in SEO, initially in 2013-14, whenever we do the SEO, it's like the normal, we have to just change the content, page title, meta description, and some keywords put on this, and we get the ranking. Okay, but now the story has been totally changed. Okay, and Google is changing so fast and having updates so frequently. Like one of their update is like Penguin updates, and keep on coming like within a month, within 2 months, or within a weeks. Now you have to make sure before willing to have organic traffic, you have to fit. So like your website and app should be, it's like have some technical SEO score fit. So like that scores indicate your website is fit to have organic traffic from any of the search engine. Okay, then so that's the eligibility now they have put in. Okay, so in that eligibility, like one of the technical term, if I use it, like the schema files. Now you have to use the schema files on each of the landing pages that you want traffic on that particular page. So basically what does these schema files do? So whenever you search on the Google a long time back, you just get the title and description. Now you search on Google, you get image, you get ratings, you get sometime price, or you get some modified searches, might be frequently asked questions over there also. So all of these with the help of schema file. So that's how you can see the organic marketing even evolving day by day. Or might be in future we have a voice search engine also. Same in the field of the tools also. Okay, so if we talk about the tools, so previously there is none of the we have the individual tools, like we have individual tool for email marketing, we have individual tool for Facebook, WhatsApp, every of the individual. Now we have now we call one of like the customer data platforms. Okay, we call it as CDP platforms. We use these CDP platforms to target any of the audience through our omni channel. So basically, if I've integrated CDP platform in my website, then I can target the customer through message, WhatsApp, any of the social media handles, through push notifications, any of the medium which is available in the market, through that tool only. And I can see where the journey has been dropped, and I can restart the journey. So suppose you came to my website and you are buying a product, and the journey has been dropped, like just you are seeing the product that time. Now I can push you the mail. Suppose you did not interact with the mail, then I can push you the WhatsApp message. You can say push notification. Then I can show you ad on the Facebook, Instagram. So that's how the CDP platforms are evolving. So even you can manage all those campaigns which we are running on, particular on the Google or the Facebook platforms. Now you can run campaigns through these CDP platforms. And if I talk about CDP, it's never end. Like
no, so I think the point here is the technology has evolved, right? But at the end of the day, in the very essence of marketing and branding is emotional connection.
Of course.
Right? It has to resonate with you. Why good ads versus bad ads is really, it doesn't either make you cry or laugh or doesn't make you think, then it's not a good ad in my perspective, right? I want to explore a little bit about what made you, and I feel like I jumped the gun here with the, getting to the meat of the discussion, but let's scale back a little bit and talk about what got you into this fascinating field. And while there has been that evolution, I think your connection with why you're doing what you're doing remains, right? So what brought you into this amazing field of digital marketing?
Okay. So I'd start from my college time. So before college also. So I booked a domain in 2008, when I was in 10th class. Okay, that time, even I'm not aware that I was able to make a website or not. But I was heard that, it's like a property. You can purchase it. So I just purchased it. Okay. Then in college time in 2011, I built a website using some of website builder tools that are available in the market. Okay. I don't take the name. Okay. So I built, and then I put my, you can say, years on my website to gain the traffic, but I was not able to succeed, to be honest. Okay. Then I started a job. Once I started, then my website also started earning. Then,
and what was the job?
I got a job as a digital marketing expert, like he explained. So one person who's taking care of each and everything. Okay. Initially, that's the common role we get. But my website got AdSense account approval. I start earning from Google. I start earning from third-party blogs and everything. Even if I compare to my salary, I'm getting 4x of my salary through the Google and these things. But I did not left my job. I keep continuing because I know, so it will be not permanent. It will be for some time, some downfall will be there definitely. So that's how eventually I realized that I learned digital marketing. Before that, I did not did any course, you can say, I haven't learned anything. But after this, my interest was very keen to this field. And then I start learning. So it's like, you can say 18-hour job for me. So I do 9-hour job for my company and then 9-hour for my learnings.
What were the tools you used for learning?
So that time I'm going to the Moz. I strictly follow the Moz. If anyone want to learn digital marketing, then they can use those Moz blogs, or you can scroll. You can have Neil Patel also. So both are equivalent. But I prefer Moz. So it's like that time I'll read around 9,000 to 10,000 blogs in a span of around 8 to 9 months. And then I got a complete idea, okay, how these things are happening, how digital marketing is growing. Then I keep continuing, and I've changed lot of companies and lot of industries because I want to explore, like, okay, so this is a IT based company, digital marketing is working like this in this field. If I move to the real estate, how the digital marketing work in that particular sector. If I move to the education sector, how they will work. So I think I moved to 7 to 8 industries and switch around 10 companies, which is not good for my resume or CV, you can say.
Or it is. I don't know. Like I have a similar experience, and I think it comes from electronics and communications background. I think you've done that as well. I switched to PR, right? And then who else has done it is Badsha, who I love, has done that as well.
And then I moved to education also. So last, I think I've written a book, first edition in 2021. And then second edition in 2023. And because of this book, I got an opportunity in Delhi College of Engineering that, okay, come and teach digital marketing to our guests, to our executive MBA students. And even you don't realize, most of the students are, it's like not younger, older than me, okay, even double than me. And they are keen to learn. So it will be a great experience because all of them are experienced.
Yeah.
Okay. They are, you can say, the experts of their domain. So even I get to learn from them.
Exactly, which is why I was saying, like, the multiple jobs, in many ways, yes, we have this strict purview of, like, yes, it limits you from a job application perspective, but as an entrepreneur, as someone who wants to try different things, it's a good habit to have. And I'm a big advocate for, like, be a jack of all things instead of trying to be a master at something, right? Coming to your passion, Shreyas, and you have sort of given a new life altogether to Tootle in terms of what you're doing now, right? How did your love for marketing, and how does that connect with Tootle as we currently know it?
Well, see, with Tootle, I feel that, when we acquired the brand and we wanted to relaunch it, we knew that it wasn't just about creating the app or creating the technology. It was more about trust, right? And to have that trust, we needed to make sure that, we are at a point where if we're just talking about rides or if we're just talking about deliveries, which we're both in both services, I think it's more about what we wanted to do was talk to drivers. And they're our main backbone of this thing that we're doing, right? Be it Tootle, be it any other company, but they are the backbones. They are the ones that are the most important part. Of course, customers are important, but we feel that, they're as much important to this, right? So we did a few things. It wasn't just marketing. It was more of getting to understand them, right? It took us almost 2 years to understand what exactly they want, or not everybody wants the same thing, but we tried to understand, okay, what are the common things, right? So what we were doing was a team as a whole. What we were doing was we're talking to them one-on-one. We're talking to them in a group. We were taking rides while we're not telling them that we're from Tootle, but we're trying to question them in indirect ways to ask them, what are their difficulties, right? One of the things that we kind of found out was very important is that we founded Zapp in 2020, right? And I exactly know how much price was of petrol in 2020, and it was 110 rupees, right? And today is, 170 rupees, somewhat around that. That's about 48-50% of an increment, right? If you talk about the ride fares, right? Do you know how much has increased from 2020 to today? Just 5%, right? So if you think about it,
that's not fair.
That's not fair,
yeah.
Right? Because obviously, why I'm talking about petrol is because that's one of the things that the drivers need to do every day, because they need to put in petrol so they can take rides and accept them and then go, right? That's what the money is mostly being spent on a daily basis, right? So that's where the calculation also goes on. So if in 5 years it's increased by 50, almost 48, 50%, then ride fares haven't even increased. Then is it fair for them? I don't think so. We at Tootle really didn't think so. So hence, we recently launched Tootle Pro, right? So it wasn't just that, it was a marketing gimmick or, it was more that we understood the emotions.
Yeah.
We understood that, the drivers are having a hard time, everybody is, right? And the expenses that we all know is increasing day by day. So in terms of marketing, in terms of how we see this forward is that what we want to do is not just tell our riders, our stakeholders, our customers, or even our investors, is that it's not just about making money. It's more about being in that community, right? Being together and helping everyone, right? Yes, we're a business. We have expenses. We also need to make money. But at the same time, if we can help someone, a community, then we hope that, if 1,000 people are leaving in a day, we hope to at least put a little bit of a dent and keep 10 of them back, 20 of them back, and slowly increase that, right? That's what we want to do, right? So,
sorry, I'm going to ask, what is Tootle Pro? You mentioned it, but what does it do?
So Tootle Pro is basically a subscription-based model for our drivers, where what they can do is now they don't pay commission if they subscribe. Right. So most of the ride-hailing companies have commission model. So now they pay a monthly fee or a daily fee or a weekly fee according to the plans that we have. Right. And taking that means that there's no commission. There's one flat fee and they can do as many rides as they want. And all the money that they earn from the fares are theirs. So it's like buying data, right? So you buy data and, there are unlimited data for a certain amount of rupees. It's basically like that, right? So that's basically what Tootle Pro is.
Yeah, so what you did is you took what they wanted. So you took a stakeholder's feedback and you incorporated into the fact that now it feels more like a community of Tootle.
Yes.
You gave them an identity that's bigger, right? So I love that. I'm going to explore because earlier when we were chatting, Anuj, me and Shreyas, he opened up a little bit about one of his stories from his childhood, and I thought it was so powerful. So I'm going to ask you to talk about it a little bit more. It sounds like Shreyas here has always been, serious about putting women in the driver's seat, and in the best sense, in the sense that he wants them to have the same. For them to feel empowered, for them to always sort of be in control of their narratives, right? So I want to talk about a little bit of what you shared. You were a 6-year-old boy.
Yes, about 6 years. So, see, I don't exactly remember it. The only memory I have of that day is the room that we were in. It was our old house in Sattabato, where it was right after Dasai. Right. So in Dasai, we go put tika and we get some money. And so after all of that happened, we came back home and we're sitting down. So I started calculating how much I had. And then I felt like, I was like, okay, I went to my brother and I said, give me your money as well. Unfair for him, but I took it. And then I walked up to my dad and I gave it to him. And what I said was, can you buy mom a car with this money? And it was, I think, around 11,000, 12,000 rupees, right? And it wasn't much, but for a kid, it was a lot, right? So I did that, right? And I didn't do that because someone told me to do this. I think it was more because before the sign, for about 2 or 3 months, my mom was learning how to drive. But I knew that, she needed a car. But it was something that I did it out of, basically, how do I put it? Like something that I saw, something that I heard maybe, but this story has been told by my dad to me like a few times over the years, right? So, and how he felt about it. And the next day or the day after that, there was a car in the house and she was driving it. And it was a lovely memory that, I share with not a lot of people, now with everyone, I guess.
And did you know at the time that it would connect somehow with the... No, probably not.
Probably not. I was
even
probably
as you
6 or
were
7, right? So I was
even
probably
as
7.
you grew up and you heard this story being told to you by your father, did you somehow, even after you acquired Tootle, Zapp acquired Tootle, did that, were you able to connect the dots, and did that make that, it's like a cathartic emotional moment?
See, it wasn't just after we acquired Tootle that we were trying to empower women, or trying to do something in that sector, or it was, I think, just out there that we just think about it that way. It's just in our heads, like subconsciously always having that in our heads, right? So even when we were at Zapp and we were doing deliveries only at that point of time, we were looking for women drivers, and we hired a few of them, right? And what we did was...
Hi, मलाई एउटा कफी दिनुस् न with मनको घिउ. घिउ?
You?
Healthy choice, ma'am. एक चम्चा पोषणयुक्त मनको घिउले तपाईलाई दिनभरिको ऊर्जा प्रदान गर्छ. गुड फ्याटले तपाईको शरीर र दिमागलाई हेल्दी बनाउँछ. यो केवल घिउ होइन, नेपालमा बनेको मनको घिउ. परम्परागत स्वादलाई नयाँ प्रविधिको माध्यमबाट तपाईलाई हेल्दी बनाउने सुनौलो साथी हो.
We paid them higher because what we wanted to do was make them feel that they're more empowered, right? And obviously we understand where we are in the society, and it's not always fair, right? So we wanted to make sure we try to understand them, right? So I think not just me, but even my partners, like we all share that same value of always having that, right? Specifically, I've also told you about our partnership with New, where what we're doing is New is an electric scooter company, right? And what we've done is we've partnered with them, where if one of our riders wants to buy an electric vehicle with New, then they can come to us, and we will contribute from our side a certain amount to buying that vehicle, right? So with that, what we've also done is if someone is a woman and she wants to buy an EV vehicle and ride with us, then she gets 70,000 as a contribution towards the vehicle, right? So that's what we've tried to do in different ways.
Yeah.
So we also have Tootle gender preference, where you can choose, being female, you can choose to have female riders pick you up, right? And if the system doesn't find anyone nearby, then obviously then it switches, but it gives that preference, right? So that's also something that we've done. But I think to answer your question, I think it's something that's just there for us as just how we are. It's not like, we want to do this because we will look good. It's more like we just did it, and it's just out there. Yeah.
And I think it helps that you have the training where you know how to connect with the audience. But I mean, you just subconsciously have that, way of connecting. In terms of what you said, there's the whole inclusivity, sustainability, and how there's the cool brand, right? Now you've sort of created or contributed in many ways to the gig economy as well. And now people who are looking for opportunities elsewhere, you're sort of curbing that brain drain, what we call, and empowering them to stay back and explore other opportunities. So that's coming back to our whole theme of the connectivity, and it's just a connection and identity, right? Anuj, to you, I would love to explore, are there stories of marketing campaigns gone completely wrong, where it not just tarnished the brand image, but it tarnished the image of an entire community? Has that happened in your experience where you've seen it firsthand?
Not completely wrong, but sometimes whenever we never know how does the customers or the users react to the campaign whenever we run. So it's always happened. So when I was in an e-commerce company, so in the e-commerce company, it's like end-to-end goal is totally depend upon the digital marketing department. Okay, so it's like you have to bring the orders. So like end goal is this. Otherwise, in other companies that you have to generate a leads, then the sales team will take care of it. So when you have end-to-end goal, you have more responsibilities. Okay, so over there, when I run the campaign, sometimes I feel I'm not getting orders. Okay, I spent 10,000, I'm not getting orders. What's wrong?
Yeah.
Is I not places the correct link, or what's the issue? So sometimes these types of activities happen. Like completely wrong campaigns has been done, but we learn from them. Okay, so sometimes like common mistakes we did might be the campaign which we are running for the mobile and we are showing for the desktop users, some issues, some technical issues are there, or the URL which we are passing in the link that take more than 5 seconds to open in particular phone. Okay, that's again a issue. 70% of a user immediately dropouts.
Of course.
Yeah. So eventually we get to learn. But yeah, these things happen always. Like I think whenever they run the campaign in e-commerce, it's frequently happen over there because everything is like it's like heartbeats increase when you are spending money in those platforms and you are not getting back. It's risky.
Now, on the flip side of this, right, there are some amazing campaigns like branding moments, like Dove was a great story, right? How do you think, like, let's talk about some of those. I would love to hear from both of you. And how that connects me. Like, I would love to be a brand. Unknowingly, I am a brand ambassador of a brand, right? So I'm immediately connected with it. I feel so loyal that, like, I'm referring this brand to all of my friends. You know, that comes from an emotion. That comes from, it's less about the technology, more about knowing the audience, right? What are some cool case studies that you have witnessed or you've been part of in your experience?
Okay, so let me answer it first. So one of my company, Transport Mall. Okay, so that company was into.
That's your client.
That's my company. Not my company. I was used to work over there as a digital marketing manager. Okay, so my main goal. So they launched the app. Okay, and app has basically 3 components in. So one was the insurance. They sell the insurance to the commercial vehicles only, and the second is they run a channel with the name of Transport TV, particularly for the, you can say, for the transport sector. So like all the truck drivers, cab owners. So basically they run channels for these segments only. Okay. And the third one is like they raise voice for them. You can have support for them. So that's, and they integrate all these services.
Very similar is what it is.
Similar one. So because of him, I recalled it. Yeah. So they made an app. Okay. And they asked me, Anuj, it's like, are you sure truck drivers use Facebook? Are you sure you are running a Facebook campaign? You have approval. You have taken approval of 10 lakh rupees. Are you able to utilize it? I was like, I have to try it. I think my gut feeling is like, they will do it. I think when I run the campaign and within a month, I got 1 lakh downloads. Okay, and if I talk about like the ROI, the cost per installation for them, it's 2.5 rupees. Through the Google channel, 2.5 rupees INR. It's like for the Indian. In my career, that's the cheapest download I have bring to the client.
Yes.
Yeah. And I feel like, wow. And even the owner is feeling like, wow, what you have did.
And you connected immeciately with the audiences.
Yeah, of course. And the audience is the truck drivers. Yeah. And they start using it. So again, my CEO came to me and so after a month, he was like, we got downloads, but we are not getting the watch time. So they have their videos on that particular app. Okay. Then I was like, okay, how to increase the watch time? What can I give to a truck driver? I was thinking like this. Okay. Then I was like, okay, let's run a campaign. Okay. Whomsoever watch maximum videos or maximum watch time, we give him a TV or we give him some gifts. When we start this campaign, our watch times increase to 56 minutes per user. So that's comparatively equal to an OTT platforms that time.
Yeah.
So that's the power of, you can say, the campaigns we run for that particular. That's wow factor for me. I was very because I'm getting downloads, I'm getting watch hour, everything was increasing, and companies also getting fundings.
Of course.
So that's a
I
startup.
have not read your book, and I intend to. But has this made into your book?
So of course the strategy will be there.
Great. What about you?
I think there's so many that it's on top of my head, and I'm having a hard time choosing. But basically, there's this brand that I recently started using. It's a shoe brand called On, right? And I got introduced to that brand by my brother. And see, before I even bought it, right, I had this feeling that, okay, it's a shoe, right? It's a normal shoe. It looks cool, right? So maybe it's comfortable. And that was about it, right? And last time I traveled, I bought one. And after I bought it, I wore it, instantly loved it because it was so comfortable, right? And I think coming back to Nepal and wearing it, and I think I'm wearing it right now also, and I've been telling people about it, right? And I've been right now when I think of it, it's not because of the shoe that is just there. It's not the brand only, but it's also that feeling that I got wearing it and being so comfortable that when I'm walking, it's so easy, right? So that also kind of had that kind of that emotional, also at the same time, that easiness, right? So it wasn't a marketing part that gave me to buy the shoe. It was more like my brother telling me about it. So that's also something important in marketing, right? Word of mouth. And also how you make one person feel might change that and influence someone else to buy that same product, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I can clearly remember because it's very recent, right? So
yeah, there's a power in that marketing and salesmanship. It comes to the storytelling, right? What are you being sold? What are you being told? And it's in many ways, sometimes it's also just the placebo effect. You just feel like, I'm not saying that about On because I actually love the shoes myself as well. But sometimes it's about the story because, when I was thinking about the discussion that we might have today, I was questioning what is it about brand Nepal, for example, that connected with me so much that I wanted to come back and be here again, right? And it wasn't really one particular thing, but it was my childhood memories, the smell of air in certain parts of the seasons. It was a lot of different things, which again brings back to that identity, brings me back to that emotional connection. And oftentimes, when do you feel, again, instead of me telling what I feel, do you, either of you, feel like companies make this mistake in investing so much time and energy in the tools and the technologies, but forget to do that research of that emotional connection. And sometimes, which is why it backfires.
Of course.
Right? So what would be your recommendation to those kind of companies? What's the first thing you tell? Do this, and then this is where the technology comes in.
Okay. So
both of you are eager to answer. I love it.
So because of I recall one story. So I think that's commonly available story. It's of Maruti Suzuki story in India. So when Suzuki is selling their cars in India, so even I get to learn about this story when I'm doing the MBA. Okay, they tell me that they have a particular brand. So with the name of Suzuki in India, people able to recall that, okay, that's the, you can say, mid-level car you can have, or you can say that's the economical car you can buy for you and your family. That's the economical brand image they have created in the market. Okay, when they launch one of their premium car with the same brand, and it's surprisingly none of them is. It's like a super crash for Suzuki that time. Yeah. So again, so they same question which you are asking. They got the crash. Now what they did in India, they launch a new brand with the name of Nexa. So that's also come under the Suzuki, but the premium cars are there.
Yeah.
So basically, they have segregated the audience. Okay, you want to be economic, go Suzuki. You want to be elite, or you want to be like pro, then you can go with the Nexa, and you can have different experience. Even they have built an experience totally different. Even you enter in the showroom and the car itself.
I think we've kind of talked about this indirectly in this part earlier. I feel that, I can't say I agree to it or I disagree to it because it all depends on what the brand is trying to achieve, right? There are some brands that just needs leads, or the brand just needs to sell a product and the product has no emotional value to it. Like some people just use it on a regular basis and it doesn't matter what it is. It's just the color of the product and that's it, right? I mean, there are products like that, right? We use it every day, but if it's a different brand, maybe we don't really care about it, right? So that's where I think, those probably are a little bit of a bigger brand because that we use it on a daily basis, and it's a commodity basically to have that, right? So if you are a brand that has that kind of a product, then I think there are ways to actually tap into emotions. There are ways to do it in a different way, but also how I was trying to connect this to is, different age groups, right? Who is making the decision to buy this, right? So we recently had this kind of like a exercise at the office where we were talking about so who is the decision maker to buy a certain product, right? So if it's a large, like an expensive thing, then is it the parents that are trying to make the decision, or is it like someone our age, or is it someone that it's our kids, or who is it, right? That's, I think, the most important part. So if the product is for someone for my son, basically, who's 1 now, right? He doesn't know what he wants, right? So we're buying it. It's our decision, right? But probably by the time he's 4, he'll probably want to know, he will know, right? This is what I want, or this is what I want, right? So, that's where I think brands need to understand what they're selling before they even try to, put it out there in the market, and also try to see how the emotions touch base with it. Who are we trying to connect with, right? All of that really, really matters.
Yeah. And I want to connect this with influencer marketing or influencer branding, right? Because a lot of brands are either getting it right or completely losing the plot, right? From your perspective in the years, I guess this is more recent as well.
It's very recent.
Would you recommend this? And if so, to what kind of brands? And if you say, no, this you don't need an influencer, to what kind of brands? Does it make...
No, being a digital marketing, I always recommend influencer marketing because that's the best part, you can say. With the help of influencer marketing, you can create a buzz around for the brand name. And you can hire as many as influencer you want. So influencers with the barter system or with some monetary benefits, you can have, and with the help of influencers, the buzz they create now, it's actually visible. Okay, whenever we so in one of the company we run a campaign, okay, with 1,000 influencers in particular city, and we can see our branded searches has been increased. Okay, so that's the impact we have seen. Even we can say the ROI we will not able to achieve, but we can create a buzz around the market. So people are aware about the brand. So you get the visibility. If you go with the mass, if you go with 1 or 2 influencer, I don't think that will create a much impact. Rather, the influencer is millions or having such millions followers, then of course there will be a different image.
But there might be, on the flip side, it could completely backfire as well for a number of reasons, right? So hear me out. If they are not getting the messaging right, or the influencer is now so closely tied to the brand that people see that influencer as the main brand, right? So they do something so awful that they are cancelled by their followers. And in doing so, the brand gets brand gets impacted as well, right?
Of course.
So So in that, what are important like do's and don'ts that people need to know when you are bringing an influencer on board?
Okay. So
I think
I
you've got it on point on this, because us as brand, as a brand, as a CEO of Tootle, or even like working previously with other brands, obviously as digital marketers, as you said, we do want them to use influencers because it does help create the buzz. It creates that awareness that it reaches out to more people. And it's all there, right? Visibility is there, right? But obviously, that also has to be in a way where just because you do it with 20 different influencers doesn't mean you get the right message out, as you've said, or there's higher risk of backfiring with, let's say you do it with 20 and maybe one person does it differently, and that's what everybody will remember. They won't remember the 19 others, right? Because that's how it works, right? The human psychology works that way. So my suggestion to brands are to more of working with influencers as ambassadors rather than just working with hundreds of influencers, right? Because then you can control the narrative, right? You can not control the influencer, but control the narrative in certain ways, and also making sure that there are certain things that the influencer cannot do for a certain period of time, and things like that always has to happen. But there's always a risk with influencers because there are certain brands that I can already name, but I don't want to, right? But they've gotten that into that problem, right? So I think even recently there was one in Nepal that happened, and there was a buzz about it, and it wasn't good for the brand, basically, right? You were about to say something.
Yeah, I just add you. Okay, some of the things, because we also run the influencer campaigns, and we have a complete systematic approach. Okay, so it's like so we have created 5 categories for the influencer, whether the micro, mini. So we have our segregations depending upon their reach, their followers. Once we segregate this, and then we have a set of so this is the checklist. You have to select in this. You have to select any 2. In this, you have to select any 1. So it will be like one feed, one status, one story, one this in a month. So we give a month target, and then over there you get, of course, as an influencer you get a free product. Okay, that's a barter approach. That's a basic one. But over and above, we give them whatever the orders we are getting through you, that the personalized coupon we have built for you, or we give them a personalized link sometimes. Okay, we give you a 20% commission. So I think that's pushed the influencer from inner side, like he has to take a charge, he has to take a responsibility to sell it, or to show the true product outside it.
Yeah, of course. There's also that I think just because you either pay or you do a barter system, or do a commission model,
of course,
right? I think the brands shouldn't control the narrative as much with what they want to say, because if they really don't like the product, then they should put it out there, right? Yes, it's negative, and you've paid for a negative PR. Let's say we're talking about PR, and it's a negative PR, but that's where then you need to improve your product, right?
But I want to add, so it will be like, so whenever, so I tell you what, like influencer does not take, it's not their wish to talk negative. So,
of course.
So they sometimes play this, because people always listen negative very crucially.
Of course.
So that's their move. How you, and being I was working in agencies, so sometimes I get a script, some negative script from a brand side also.
That also,
so that's how
any
to
PR
create a buzz.
PR is,
So because they also know, so that influencer has such potential. If it's go organic, then you're able to reach this audience. If you have to reach the more larger audience, then you have to create something unique.
Of course.
And I think there's also the fair balance that needs to be done between how you're incentivizing them. But most importantly, I think brands need to understand whether the values, the innate values align or not, right? So I cannot bring someone who is very fiercely pro something that doesn't align with my brand and say, now I want you to be the influencer just because you have the reach and you have the connections with my audience, right? So in such situations where influencer campaigns backfire, how can situations be reversed in your experience? Like, can digital marketing, are there components of it that can be leveraged? How fast and how effective are they?
So,
go ahead.
I will add. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
I love this.
Yeah.
We can write a whole book individually, both of you, about this
Okay.
as well.
Sure. So if it's get negative, so by the mean negative for me, it's like, of course, you get the negative sentiment for the brand. Okay, so must be users get anger or must be user get sad about the brand name or the product. If that's happen, then it's very difficult for a brand to bring it down, to be honest, because that's the organic thing they have approached. That's not the inorganic. Okay, influencer marketing is the organic. Now, to down it, you have to at least tie with 10 other different influencers in a same topic, same thing, so that it get down organically. Otherwise, it will always be in a rank like third, fourth over there. So if you want to get it down organic, then you have to bring more influencers. That's the one approach, I think.
Or more content, basically, right? Like more and more
Something to
content.
drown out
Something
the
more
noise.
content,
Yeah.
that we use in SEO. Same time.
Now, a lot of the times I have also seen like brands are doing all the right things. It backfires. They're also doing the right thing. They're bringing more content. They're trying to divert the attention, right? Doing all the things. And yet, I think in the process, what we forget is something that's digital is forever digital.
Of course.
Right? So what needs to be done is not just the content, but there is the intent of doing right by their values and by the. So on this, I mean, I can think of so many case studies on this, but have you seen where, like, we in PR have been told about the Tylenol story so often? You have heard about it, right? They did right by their consumers. And oftentimes we are so bogged down with, oh my God, this message, okay, community manager, manage this, and this message, and this is the script, right? But we forget to do what's right by our customers. And in the process, we lose the loyalty because we are losing one of our, really ardent brand ambassadors, right? So any examples that come to your mind on this that's relevant? We don't have to name the brand.
I don't think I can exactly recall like a situation, but what I was about to say earlier in the same topic is that I think there are situations where brands have tried to hide it, right, and not accept it. But what I've learned over the years is also accepting is something that's more grateful, and maybe like someone who is known for the brand, or someone who can come and speak and actually accept it and even apologize, or if needed, or saying it that yes, this happened, right, but this is what we're doing, depending on situations. But I think mostly if it backfires, then that obviously means that accepting is also something that's a bigger challenge that a lot of brands don't do, and they try to hide it. Rather accepting it, using the right PR person for it or an agency for it, and trying to make sure that it's there, it's already out there. And as you said, it's digital, so it's always going to be there, right? If it's print, after two days it's gone, right? Like nobody's going to really care about it. But digital is always going to be there. And we talked about how creating more influencer content and all of that. Yes, organically it goes down, right? But also at the same time, if you can accept it, it makes more sense for the customers, and loyalty, I think, makes more sense there, right?
Yeah.
And one more thing I just want to add over there. So in influencer marketing, so if we cite the influencer marketing, so if we talk about the review marketing, so that's also come under the influencer.
Yeah, same.
So if you buy the product, you see the reviews, okay? And you can see reviews on Amazon, Facebook, Google, etc.
You're telling me they're not real? What? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so you can say that might be like 50% are not real, to be honest. Okay, so that's the separate thing. But I tell you, like Google reviews, you can't remove it. Okay, none of them can remove it. We can just appeal Google. Okay, so if the you can say the language or the communication is not appropriate, abusive, then you can request Google. Then the Google will only, in that case, then the Google will remove. Otherwise, you have to accept it.
Of course.
And the brand always comment over there. Okay, we have accepted and we have changed it. And take a response. So that's the response now brands are taking on the reviews publicly. Like on the Google, Facebook, every platform.
Yeah, you own up to it and do right by your customers.
You can check any of the apps and check their reviews. You get over there, you get the brand reviews. Thank you for your feedback. We will be working on it.
Yes, of course, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's also where, like, we're not just talking to brands, but also to customers, right?
Exactly.
Where I think what we also need to understand from and as us being customers for other brands, I think there's always ways where, like, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has something or the other that, and we learn by it, right? And if the company has learned it and has done something good by the customer and for the customers, giving it a chance, or like you wrote a review where they definitely said that, okay, we'll take care of it. And you see that change, then help the brand by going back and writing another review that's better and saying that, I wrote this, but I am now saying that, they've done it better, right? And we've seen that happen in one of the companies I was working with when I was in Thailand. And it actually happened where, there was something that was done, and then we quickly took care of it. It was a Google review, so like obviously we had to quickly take care of it. And I think after like 2 weeks, she came back and she wrote another review, which made it better, right? So that's where I see an example, right?
Yeah. And there is that I think we've talked about it in many ways, but I don't know if we've talked about it, spelled it out, but the whole authenticity, being authentic, right? It's such a big word. It's a scary word, but at the end of the day, it is who you are. Brands are who they are. And brands at the end of the day are being run by humans. Right? Assisted by technology, yes, but it's being run by humans. So they are allowed to err and they are allowed to, come out better. I feel like we've talked about so many things today, but just bringing it back to connecting with that idea of community and identity, right? We all live in two separate markets, but at the same time, we are experiencing not just the local brands, but we are also experiencing global brands. Do you feel our respective markets feel more connected somehow with global brands? And if so, why? If not, why? I have my take on it, but I want to hear from both of you.
So for me, if I talk about the global brand, so it's like Shreyas already did, that someone from the word of mouth, I get to know about that global brand. So that's the perfect one. Like, so if I'm wearing S6, if I love to wear S6, then of course my brothers tell me that that's the best shoes. That's used by the Australian cricket team. So that's the image already created.
Yeah.
So it's like, of course, global brand always create a better image first. Of course, we can try the local brands as well, but in the local, we always see, okay, when the price is less, we always see like we need always more features. We need more comfort. But if the brand is global, we will like, no, that's the brand is more than enough.
So we equate the quality with the money, that price tag associated with it, right? Is that true? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, you can say.
Yeah. But on the flip side, like we have so many amazing local brands who are trying to do great things. And all of us are guilty of this. We are not willing to invest in them because we always have this perception, right? So it goes back to identity. On the one hand, like we love everything about our country, our community. On the other, we're not willing to shell out the same amount of money that we would for a global brand. How do we flip that narrative from your respective experiences? Does it take time? Does it take cool technologies? Does it take a lot of consistent and frequent messaging? What is it that will fix this? And I would love to end at that and give back your time, but let's end on this very philosophical note.
Wow. I think that itself is going to be all night. But I think that personally, I have a different way of thinking, and I think in talking about it in general, then that's a different way. But for me, I love to support local brands, right? I try to support them as much as I can in some, like whatever ways I can, right? So definitely when we had Zapp and now in Tootle, that's what we're talking about, where we're supporting local brands, and you can go and check them on the Tootle app. It's not just like for rides or deliveries, but you can also check them, like check all of our partners there and all of that, right? Local brands. That's one of that, right? But obviously there are other things that there's a company that's called EcoSati. I don't know if you guys heard, I don't know if you know about them, but she has been with us as a vendor for delivering since day one of them and for us as well. So we have a really good connection, and we've helped them, they've helped us, and we've done a lot of things. And her products are really good. But for the longest time, I knew what her products were. I never really used it until what happened was she was, I think, if I'm not wrong, she was more online before. And then she moved to be more on stores, right? And then I was in one of the department stores, and I was buying a toothbrush, right, basically. And I was there, I saw the brand, then it got connected, right? So, and then I was like, oh, now I want to buy this. But for the longest time, I never really thought of it, right? So those are things that we use on a daily basis, and we never really think about it. Recently, I was like, oh, this is someone I know, someone that I want to help, right? So I also think that, being physically out there with your products also matter a lot. Also, to be connected and, so that there's a global brand and there's a local brand, but that doesn't mean that, the local brand is of a lower quality, because we know there are brands that are made in Nepal and sold all over the world, right? And that's the beauty of it, right? But that's where we need to start believing in Nepali brands and local brands, right? And believing in it, so that if we don't believe in it, then who's going to believe in it? Right?
Yeah.
We need to start it.
Yeah. We need to believe in it. Sorry, I would love your take on this as well. And I know I said last question, but I have one follow-up. Sorry.
Sure.
No issue. So Shreyas already told. Yeah, of course. But for me, the quality of a product should be the first priority for me. So if the local brand give me a best quality, even the higher charge, then of course I take that product. That's not an issue. Even I purchase as per the quality of the product, of course. Because the quality itself show them, okay, in future they will be a good brand. So that's the projection. If the quality is not good enough, so I think don't support much, because they need to work it. They need to improve it first. It's not fit for the market right now. If you purchase it, it will be useless for you and your,
of course.
Yeah, and you're giving other local brands a bad name by association as well, right?
And also, I think, just to add on to that, something that I just thought about is that a lot of brands, I think, their friends and their family and known people, they probably call and say that, this is not going right. It was so much better before, and now you've changed this, so it's a lower quality. Or any feedback, any type of feedback, be it positive, be it negative, be it anything. I think don't take it personally. First of all, and also try to accept that, okay, there might be something wrong, or maybe it's just that person that found it that way, but also to kind of have a look at it, right? Not to jump and say that, oh no, my product's the best, right? But rather take in feedback, right?
And they work.
I think that's how we've built our company that way, where we live on feedbacks. So there's so many people that just keep on giving us feedbacks, and we're looking at that. There's a team that just keeps on looking at feedbacks, right? And then we categorize them, we give it to the right people, and then that's how it's supposed to be.
If you take an example of India, like so, like there is an Amazon that's US based, but there is in India like Flipkart, it's India based, and it's doing better than the Amazon.
Of course,
Amazon is in losses, and same like there is a Uber, US based. Now in India there is a word called Ola.
Yes.
Ola
And
is
we
making
have
good.
Tootle in Nepal. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I'm not aware about
Yes.
it.
Now you are. After today, you are.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. So, what I was saying was earlier, I said I had a follow-up question, but I think this is more of a note for myself and what my takeaway, and I would love your concluding thoughts on this as well, is it feels like the intent is there to want and support the local brands. We identify with and connect with local brands much more easily than we would. It comes down to the quality, but it also comes down to the want from the brand side, whether it's the individuals or whether it's the corporations, that they want to, learn from that feedback, be values driven, but they want to be willing to invest in marketing, right?
Of course.
So what's your final note on brands who are not investing in marketing, and why is the time now or never?
So I think it's very like it's a need in the market to invest in digital marketing for any of the brand, whether it's local or the global. If you talk about the local also, so like previously we talked about the influencer marketing. I think the previous influencer marketing is the more risky one, because while selecting the influencer, you are not aware about whether the followers or the likes or the comments are real or the fake. Anything could be possible, but there are ways where you get the ROI in the digital marketing. So like PR is the one where you see the results on the spot. So like you can see, okay, your article is published, you get this visibility, you get this much of links, you get backlink over there, you get the traffic. At least in the PR, by the PR you get buzz for the 5 days, not for the continuance. That's a PR thing. Okay, so if we talk about like the performance marketing. So we know if you spend X amount of money in the performance marketing, then of course you make 5X of 6X. That they need to accept it. They have to start it. They have to trust it. If they start doing this, then only they will able to see the results. Yeah. So it's like they have to decide it wisely on which side in the digital marketing they have to spend. Of course, they will get the better results in the market.
Wonderful.
My take is, of course, everyone needs to be invested in marketing, right? I mean, that's always there. But if you're expecting results, if you start something today and you're expecting results in 2 days, then that's not the right way to think, right? Obviously, it takes months, right? That's why it's an investment, right? That's what we're saying. It's an investment. So where brands should actually understand is that it's not just 3 months. Some brands, some products take longer period of time, right? Because people first need to understand what it is and be aware about it, right? So it takes longer. If it's a product that's easier to be understood, it might take a shorter period of time, right? But I think more than just the quality of the content, it's the message that the people need to understand. And that's why, I'm going all the way back to what I was trying to say is that it's communication, right? Be it PR, be it marketing, be it digital, be it anything, right? I think it's the message that whoever you're targeting to has to perceive it the right way, right? If you're in the Nepali market and if you are targeting an audience that only reads, writes, and speaks Nepali, then if you're only doing English, or if you do it in a completely different language, does it make sense? No, right? So it has to be certain ways. It has to be in a way where, we do it in a certain way, right? So if we are in India and we're doing it only in Hindi, right? But the audience
also not
has
correct
a
way.
completely different language that they speak and do. It doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
right? So that also kind of has that messaging, and communication is more important.
Wonderful. I love that we are all advocates for strong communication, strong PR, strong marketing. I've really enjoyed and I have learned a lot about especially marketing tools that can be effective. I think just to wrap up our conversation today, my biggest takeaway has been communications cannot be one-way communications. Brands have to be open to engaging really,
Right.
and not just pushing messages out there. And more importantly, when we are talking about local brands and identity, it's as much about how authentic you are, how relatable you are, and how accessible you are. Like you said, the physical and the it needs to be two ways. It's not just being digital, not just influencer marketing. So I loved that. I'm sure we've learned so much more than that. But thank you again, Shreyas. Thank you so much, Anuj, for taking time out of your busy days
Thank you
and
for
you're
having us
leaving
here.
tomorrow. So thank you again.
Of course.
I loved having you guys on.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you